Because the magic happens in quadrant 3, we're going to spend the rest of our time together here. I've got 9 different strategies that I'd like you to consider that I know work with leaders and raising up the confidence. You'll see some surprises in this, and it may be some things that you can think about as you go through the rest of your day at this conference. The first part of quadrant 3 is 3 major areas to look at. There's hardwiring, there's your identity, and there are goals, how you set goals. As you look to the overlapping areas of those, there's your personal mission, your personal style, your mission, and your values. And it's so incredibly important that we get clear on our values. And especially with the way things change so quickly nowadays, we need to know, and our employees need to know, what do we value as an organization? Let me tell you a story about, I was an alumni director who couldn't stop asking for major gifts at a prep school. Because I just love asking for money. It was so much fun. And it's something tangible to show I actually am doing something for my work, where relationships are so process-oriented, there's not really that hard data like scoreboard. So my boss at the boarding school said, here's all the other things I want. Here's the stuff, new fiscal year, you're back to 0. These are all your priorities this year. And I was feeling totally overwhelmed. So I took a legal pad and I wrote all of my current priorities from my previous fiscal year, and then the next column, all the new ones, because she was in quadrant 2. She wanted to, things weren't hitting the right marks, and so she wanted to try something else. And with fear and trembling, I went into her office and said, I need your help. Here's all of the stuff I'm already doing. And here's all the new stuff that we're going to be putting onto my job description. Every single one of these things is an A1 priority. I totally can, in itself, I can describe and argue for why this is the most important thing for me to do. But there's only one of me, and there's only 24 hours a day, and I'm not supposed to spend them all here. So where do I err? If I'm straddling a line and a donor calls and I'm working on a grant proposal, do I pick up the phone because we have a value of live voices for picking up the phone? Or do I keep doing the grant proposal because we have a value of getting the grant proposal in by deadline? I just need to know what are the values that our organization, so I can make judgment calls in the moment. And so that's why, and she, to end that story, she leaned back in her chair and I thought, uh-oh, I'm fired. She didn't like this at all. And she didn't say anything. She kept looking at the sheet. And I said, are you okay? And she said, oh, sorry. She kind of snapped to it. It turns out she was filling in the sheet with her own current things she was doing and the things the headmaster was asking her to do. She said, I wish I could take this to my boss and do this too. I'll submit to you, all of you can. It was just a matter of doing it. But knowing the values helped me immensely the next year, because I couldn't do everything, but I would know that I was erring on the side of where the values were. When you have all those 6 areas together, you have what I call integrity, because you're working with integration. You're working, you know when you're at work that you're bringing yourself to work. And you know when you're at home that you're not leaving stuff necessarily at work. That it's not that you're bringing work home, but you can be fully present where you are because you're working integrated and everything is kind of firing on all cylinders.